Hello, and welcome to Unit 3 of the course. This is looking at contemporary social policy structures. And what do we mean by that? Well, we mean for this course, largely income security programs. So in terms of contemporary social policy structures, the course textbook outlines 7 types of programs and services, and some are offered through government structures and others by non-government structures, including the nonprofit and voluntary sector as well as the private sector. And so some of these are, for example, cash programs such as OAS, which is Old Age Security, the Canada Child Tax Benefit, CPP, which is Canadian Pension Plan, and post-secondary student loans, which many of you may have. And if you don't, then consider yourself fortunate. I am still racked in student loan debt, but that's another issue. Further contemporary social policy structures include fiscal measures, including tuition fee deductions, childcare expense deductions, and RRSP exemptions, goods and services measures such as hospital insurance, legal aid, and education, as well as measures related to employment, including a minimum wage legislation and employment equity programs, occupational welfare measures such as pension and insurance plans, and sports and recreational facilities. Also, family care and dependency programs such as home care provisions, and finally, voluntary and charitable programs such as shelters, soup kitchens, and food banks. Also, I want to say that I want to try to make these videos shorter because I find it takes forever to upload them onto YouTube. So, if anybody knows a faster way of doing it, I find that I'm sitting there from like anywhere from half an hour to an hour to get these up. But anyways, in today's world, an elaborate system of income security exists, and they encompass all 3 levels of government, falling under a wide spectrum of categories. And social workers need to be fully familiar with this system in order to help clients to identify the income security programs for which they are eligible and to ensure prompt and full access to these programs. Some of these categories and some examples are lone parent families. You'll come across a lot of these in your career. So they would need income support programs, and exact names vary by province. Families with children, so the Canadian Child Tax Benefit. Individuals experiencing lengthy periods of unemployment, so income support programs. Individuals experiencing a short period of unemployment, so employment insurance, which we talked about last unit. Youth without a guardian, so income support programs are available for that population. Individuals who are injured at work, so workers' compensation, that is, and people with a disability. Income and health benefit programs. There's a whole bunch of names. They all vary depending on what province you're in. There are senior citizens who they have CPP, they have OAS, Old Age Security, they have GIS, Guaranteed Income Security, there's spousal allowance, and there's also top-ups for social assistance depending on where you are. Refugees new to Canada, they receive a resettlement assistance program, and veterans, there's a war veterans allowance. So there's some of them there. There's some categories, and the book also talks about corporate social responsibility and what that is, and also what this week's chat discussion is about is the private sector. Their sponsors. They sponsor activities in the social services through either cash donations or employee volunteerism, often with the explicit understanding that the corporation will be likely acknowledged as a sponsor. So what does that mean for the private sector, the for-profit sector? to get involved either through funding or through manpower in social services for events. Is that what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Are there any ethical concerns? So, for example, when I was in Kitchener Waterloo getting my MSW, University of Waterloo has a highly regarded IT program. Comp Sci and Comp Eng. And it's one of the best in the nation. And the evidence of that is Google having their Canadian headquarters in Waterloo. And so this small town, Kitchener and Waterloo and Cambridge, which is like the forgotten foster child really of the three cities, which are all right beside each other. You never really know what city you're in at any one time. But even with those all three cities or towns combined, the population is smaller than Winnipeg, and Winnipeg's not really that big of a city. Yet Google is there, and they installed an LRT, light rapid transit. It's pretty advanced for a university town, and it's interesting because the route goes from Waterloo to Google. It's a means of getting the talent to Google. And Google is involved in the community, and it's all about coding, which it makes sense. It's Google. But it's basically recruiting. But anyways, what are your thoughts about corporate social responsibility? The book will talk about it a little bit. Okay, so to move forward, the text also talks about equalization payments, which are grants given by the federal government to provinces to counter what is called horizontal imbalance. So the imbalance between, say, rich province and poorer provinces, so that social delivery services can be provided. What are some of the critiques? Say Manitoba gets a equalization payment, so that we can provide, say, improved daycare. This is opposite of, equalization payments, they can be used for anything. Health, education, social services. This is opposite of conditional grants, which have a particular specific purpose for those funds. So what are some of the, do you see any issues with equalization grants? Any advantages, disadvantages, any ethical concerns? Like, who benefits from it, right? So for instance, Quebec has high equalization payments, yet they have low daycare and tuition fees. Like right now, I have a toddler, and the daycare, I am paying $800 a month in daycare, which is high. It's really high. So that translates to something like it's $40 and change a day, and they do not provide meals. In Quebec, they have a subsidy depending on your income, but you pay anywhere from $7 to $20 a day. That's a huge difference. If I was in Quebec, my gosh, I would hardly be paying anything for daycare. So is the equalization payment disadvantaging other provinces? Because I pay so much more for daycare. I don't know. What do you think? And the book also talks about a referendum. I'm old enough to be alive during that referendum where there was the referendum for Quebec to separate and become their own sort of autonomous nation. That was really big news, and what is that? The question of that is that came up for me was, what does it mean to be Canadian? This weird idea of like Canadian, right? Like, I don't know. Is it like that I wear flannel, plaid, walk around with maple syrup, and I don't know, hunt beavers or something? I don't know. What does it mean to be Canadian? It's and what social programs are symbolic of what Canadians value. So, healthcare, universal healthcare, that is something that we value. So what does it say about a nation when post-secondary is not provided for free? It's not publicly funded. Do we value it less? It looks like it. And so, how would your life in society change if something like post-secondary education was free? What would happen if the majority of the population was more educated? I will say this about Kitchener-Waterloo, small town. Like everybody seemed to have their masters there. I think my neighbor's dog had their MSW, and their social issues were different. The way they looked at things were different, because there were a lot of academics, a lot of really intelligent people, a lot of PhDs, looking at issues and pushing issues. And was it better? I don't know, but it was different. I don't experience that here in Manitoba. I don't find that the discourse is not as rich. Yeah. Anyways, I need to wrap this up because it's getting too long. But I do want to wrap this up again with the idea of a livable wage and guaranteed annual income. I talked about it last unit. There's the course talks about it, about a Dauphin experiment called Mincome, MINCOME. Feel free to Google that or YouTube it and look at that project for a guaranteed annual income. It's pretty interesting. Anyways, have fun reading. Until next time. Okay, bye. And my plan. Bye.